Afternoon and welcome to today's vlog. And today I'm going to talk about money and how we make a living on the road, and we've had a few questions, and today also my vlog is sponsored by Guinness. If only, maybe if I become a really big blogger one day, Guinness would actually sponsor me, and then I can drink Guinness every day and not have to buy it. That would be wonderful. So I hope everybody's well today, and it's not too chilly or even too hot, depending where you are, where you live or where you're parked, if you live in a van or a motorhome. So yes, today's vlog is about money, and I've been collecting up the questions that you've been leaving in the comments on YouTube. Firstly, thanks to those of you that have liked the vlogs and subscribed. If you're new, I'd be most grateful if you would like and subscribe so that you can be notified of updates and when we post a new vlog. Worth pointing out that the test vlog, which was the day before yesterday, we were committing or questioning whether we should commit to a daily vlog, as in posting one every day. And already day 2, which was yesterday, we arrived at our park up and we had no Wi-Fi, and it was beautiful. It was in the middle of nowhere, so we decided, despite the Wi-Fi and the fact that we couldn't upload, that we would stay the night. So Missy's vlog that you will now have seen was a day late. So our commitment really is, we're going to call it a daily vlog, but we're not going to get too bogged down with that. We'll upload one every day if we can, most days certainly, and that all depends on Wi-Fi and what we're up to. So today we're going to talk about work and finances in a van life context, and I know it's something that comes up regularly on Facebook from people that are considering full-time van life, which is, how do you afford to live in your van full-time? Do you work? And obviously some people are retired, or maybe they're lucky enough to have a lot of savings that they've decided it's worth taking them out saving to live an alternative lifestyle and to travel. Other people, we've met quite a few people that were the typical average person. They had a mortgage and a house, and they then rented out their house, and the difference between their mortgage payment and the rent payment is enough for them to then pay for their van life that way. So that's probably the easiest and most common thing to do if you happen to be lucky enough to have owned your own property, which we didn't, which I'll come back to later. So we've had 2 direct questions from the first vlog about working and finances. The first one was from, having a look at my phone, SJF number 1, who asked what sort of work we do. And Chris Waite asked, how can you afford this lifestyle and where do you get your money from? So we don't own or didn't own a house, and I'll come back to that a bit later because it's worth talking about the finances from that point of view. But both myself and Missy work, although that's slightly protracted with COVID, because our main source of income comes from the events industry, and for the last 15 years we've run a large event in a large nightclub in London, which runs every 2 to 3 months. So before COVID we were going out travelling, and then every 8 or 9 weeks we would go back to England, run an event, see friends and family and my mum, and then we'd come all the way back, which wasn't particularly cost effective, but it was something that we were aware that we would have to do if we wanted to travel and live full-time in a van and be in Europe, as opposed to maybe staying close to home so that we didn't have so far to travel. So that's now seriously protracted, because most events, other than going to your local pub before your 10 PM curfew, are no longer able to run. So we came back in March to run an event, and we were actually the last clubbing event to run in London, and the very next day all events were cancelled by the government, and since then there haven't been any of your normal dance floor type club events, because you can't run them. So that's effectively meant that our main source of income has completely disappeared. So essentially at the moment, for dare I say God knows how long, because of COVID, we're kind of a bit buggered really. I also own a shop, and I do myself most of the online work. So I put products online, I deal with customer emails, customer inquiries, I answer customers' messages on instant messenger and so on, place adverts, do all the kind of admin stuff online, and then the shop itself is managed by Luciano, who works for me and does a great job running the shop. So he does all the sort of hands-on stuff, and I get the longer straw by working as I travel on the road. So again, with COVID, things are not as buoyant as they have been, so my salary is either nothing or it's particularly small. So that effectively means that in the last 3 or 4 months since lockdown ended, we've had no income at all. So we're currently living on savings, which are still okay but quickly shrinking while there's no money coming in. So that kind of leads me on to talk about how you can travel on a budget. You may have noticed that we filmed a video a month or so ago with White Van Family, and they're kind of budget experts. They've got a budget van, a budget van build, and they've got 2 kids, 2 dogs, and they travel full time, and they spend about £60 a week. So for us, we've gone from being quite affluent and being able to pretty much within reason while we're travelling do as we wish and buy what we want. We've gone from that to having to eke out more of a budget. So we've had to go from that to be a bit more budget conscious. So with the budget, we keep reducing it as we get used to actually living in a budget, because before, if we wanted to buy food, we'd go and buy food, and if we ran out of snacks, we'd go up to the supermarket and buy more snacks. So on this journey, we've limited our supermarket visits to a maximum of 1 a week for COVID reasons, so that we can avoid wherever possible being in contact with people in a town. And also we've cut out pretty much all of our snacks. A big bag of crisps that I could happily munch in a day costs €3, so I was buying 3 or 4 bags a week, so you're looking at a tenner just on crisps, and that's before all the other stuff I ate. So we're currently budgeting £100 on food, which is still quite high, but bearing in mind that's for 3 people and 4 animals, so we still eat very well, and we've not really compromised how well we eat. But it might be as our savings dwindle that we decide to ratchet down yet again. When we left, we budgeted £140 a week, and we're now down to 100, and we may well reduce that further. On top of that, you've obviously got the cost of diesel and the cost of maintaining your van, which I'll come back to before I jump back further to when we lived in a house. When we left, we had the same income as we did when we lived in a house, because we both did the same job. So in our house, which we rented, and it was a fairly modest 3-bedroom Victorian semi-detached, quite nice, in an okay area, but down south, not that far from London, so our rent was £1,200 a month, and then with utilities on top, I would probably estimate we were spending £1,500 a month. So essentially now, we don't have that £1,500 a month. Our only outgoings are diesel to run the van, any repairs that we may have to make on the van. So looking at those repairs, we've now owned the van for 2 years, and we've been living in it for about 1 year and 3 months. So in the 2 years that we've owned the van, of which the 7-8 months at the beginning were while we were converting it, but we were still driving it, we've spent £2,000 having the van repaired, and it required a new flywheel, a new clutch and some new brake pads, and also the gearbox needed servicing. So that was all done at the same time, because you have to take the gearbox out to put the flywheel in, and that cost us £2,000. We've had a full service with some little bits of work done previous to that, which was £570, and we've had 2 new front tyres, which from memory I think were about £250. So I would say, on average, over the course of the time that we've travelled, if you budgeted £100 a week, if you're travelling in Europe, that covers you for all of your diesel to get to Portugal, and for any typical kind of repairs that you might need to make on your van or a van like a Sprinter, and obviously that's averaged out. So we're aware that we need new injectors in our engine at some point in the future, and some other bits of work, but they're not essential. So we've got £1,500 to fork out at some point, maybe in 3-4 months' time. So long short is, if you were going to live in Europe, if you budgeted £100 a week to cover your diesel and your van repairs, and you essentially save what you don't use. So obviously I'm not having my van repaired now, I haven't had it repaired in the last 3 months, so 40, 50, 60 pound a week goes to pay for the van at a later date. And then in the last 3 months we spent 3 months basically on 3 beaches in the same sort of area, so our diesel was next to nothing. The only time we used diesel was to go up to the supermarket once a week to get our food. So again, that's averaged out, because now that we're travelling back from Spain through France to go to England, we're probably doing a couple £100 a week on diesel while we get back to England. So long short is, you could comfortably live a very good lifestyle living in a van for £800 a month. White van family, I think, do everything for £600 a month, and we know other people that live very well on a slightly higher budget of £1,000 or maybe more, and there's other people that live on a lot less than white van family, and they might not travel around much. So if you compare the £800 a month, which includes food, to the £1,500 a month we were spending excluding food, I would say we're probably £1,500 to £2,000 a month better off, but we're free and we're on the road. We can stay places a long time if we wish, we can move off if we don't like somewhere, and we're able to live very comfortably. It's frankly amazing. So I count myself extremely lucky. So hopefully that's answered your questions on our income and our work and how we fund our lifestyle. I hope you find that useful, and please do subscribe and like if you haven't done already. And if you've got any questions, please do put them in the comments. I'll make a note of all the questions and I will answer them all as we go through the daily vlogs. So thanks for watching and enjoy your day. Cheers.